Hello and welcome to the second part of deploying an Express app into AWS EC2. In this video, we will demonstrate how to deploy the Express app so that it will finally have an SSL certificate which will be running on the default port that is 443. So in this video, we will do it in 4 parts. On the first step, we will change the because in the previous video the running of the project was like node space dist/index.js. In this video we'll be changing that in a way that it will be running in the background so that we don't always have to log into this server and run the command node space dist/index.js. And the second step, we will change the port of 3000 to 80. So right now the server is like this. I recreated the server so the IP address will be changed from the previous video, but you don't have to do that if you're exactly following the the sequel of the video. So if we refresh that, it's actually running on the port 3000. We want to make it in a way that it will be running on 80. So when you access a server, an IP address from browser, it will be contacting the port 80. So unless we provide a port explicitly, that is what it will be happening. So for an SSL HTTPS connection, the port number will be 443. So that's how it is. All these protocols will be having its own ports or its own default ports. So the HTTP's default port is 80. So the next thing is we will use a service called Route 53 in AWS in order to host the DNS in AWS, and we will have the A record saved in Route 53. If you don't quite understand what that is, it's very simple. You will understand when we actually practice this in real time. So the next point is we will also install the SSL certificates using LetsEncrypt, and which is a free service to provide SSL certificates. So we don't have to pay for anything here. And without anything else, let's get started. So I have the server running. I'm running the node space dist/index.js. Now what I'll do is I'll break the execution, and I'm going to create one query file. And if you don't know what Vim is the editor in Linux. It is actually coming with almost all the default distributions, I think. So in AWS EC2's Linux servers, it is actually coming with the default distribution. So sudo vim, then I'm going to type a path systemctl system/. Now I'll create this file. I'll just zoom it out. So I'm going to create a file, node API service, node API.service. So I'm going to paste the exact same content of this. Is actually residing in the GitHub repository that I mentioned in the previous video. I'll also paste the link of that GitHub repository in the description of the video, so you can get that file from here. So I'll just copy this file. I'll press I in order to paste the contents while using the Vim editor. In order if you want to paste any content, you have to press I, and I pressed I. Now there is this insert in the bottom. Now I can just paste it. Right. So if you see the home, Ubuntu, code, TypeScript, Express, all these paths should be correct. If you're following the video exactly, it will be the same. So we will just save that. To save a file in Vim, I'll press escape, then colon WQ exclamation, and then I'll press enter. So this file has been created. We will just use the cat command to make it sure it's created. Yeah, I use the cat command and it has spit out the contents of the file. So when the next command that we have to do is, yeah, by the way, I'll just explain what it does. So systemctl is kind of a service provided by Ubuntu distribution, where we can run some commands in the background and we can get the output of this commands. So in this very systemctl service, what it does is it will be using the node executable to run the dist/index.js, which is in our project directory. So very much the same that we were doing just before this, but this will be running in background. So in order to make it run in the background, what we have to do is sudo systemctl, then daemon reload. Whenever we create one file in the in the systemctl, we have to do this. And now we have to enable this service, systemctl enable node API service. We have enabled this. While enabling will actually create a symlink in this path. So that's how it actually works. From this path, and symlink will be targeting this, right? So next thing, we can just start the service, sudo systemctl start node API service, right? If you want to see the output of this service, like we were seeing this output, what we have to do is sudo journalctl fu, then node API dot service, right? So it's actually providing the output. So this is the exact same output we have here, right? So if we break this, it won't stop the execution, because the journalctl command with fu is to get the output in live format. So this is to get the output. So if we break the execution of journalctl, it won't be stopping. If we want to stop the execution, what we have to do is we just have to so do the sudo systemctl stop. If we want to restart, we can do restart, right? So if we just do the log, yeah, we stopped and started and restarted. So it says stopping node.js hello world app stopping, right? And now it's actually running. Let's go ahead and check the server. We refresh, we get the exact same thing, and we are not running the inside the code TypeScript Express. We were running the dist/index.js. Now we are not. Even without running that, we are getting. So why that is? We have set up the systemctl service, right? So we have done that. Now let's go ahead and do the next thing. So instead of port 3000, we want to be able to access the website on port 80. So in order to do this, we have to do something with Nginx. So Nginx is a web server, and it can be used with many programming languages, like whether that be Node.js, PHP, .NET Core, or many others. So to get started, we will install the Nginx app install. To install Nginx, we have to provide this command, sudo apt install Nginx. So when we do so, if we haven't provided the -y command parameter with it, it will be asking for us whether you want to install this, provide yes or no. Then you will just provide the y. That's what it happened here. I provided the y, right? So it has installed the Nginx, and if we go and copy this, and I mean it's the same server IP that we have in here. In your case it will be slightly different, but yeah, I copy the IP here and paste that in. And after installing Nginx, if you open up the IP in your browser, here you are not going to get anything. I know why. Because the port 80 is not open. Remember, we had this security group and in the security group we only had which were the ports opened. We had the 22 port open and we had the 3000 port open. But as I said, HTTP is default port. When we actually provide the IP address only, what the browser does is it will try to connect the server with the port 80, but the port 80 is not open because we have not explicitly provided that port. Whether that is open or not, we can check by running the command telnet, or we can do nc. Telnet will be in this. I have installed telnet, then telnet, then we go to the server IP. Now we will just provide 3000, because 3000, as you know, is already opened, right? We are getting this, so it is already opened. It says some strange things, which actually means that it is actually open. If we provide 3001, it will be trying, and after some time will be saying connection cannot be established, like that. So 3000 is actually open. If we provide 22, we have actually provided 22 here. So if we provide 22, this says something. So this is actually connected, right? So we have to explicitly add the HTTP port here. Here I have provided HTTP. I'll make it anywhere. Yeah. And I'll also add HTTPS because we have to set up the SSL certificate for the website, so 443 is needed. We'll save this. Okay, anywhere. Save this. And now if we go here and refresh or hit enter, yeah, now we see that welcome to Nginx. That means now it has unblocked the port 80, and now we get this Nginx's default page, right? So we have done this. Now 1 and 2 is done. No, we haven't done, so we have to do this. In order to do this, in this GitHub repo that I have provided, it has the sites available default. And by the way, I'll show you this very file. Let's go to the server, and this is the path etc nginx sites available default. So we'll just cat that, cat etc nginx sites available default, right? So the only difference here is in this section, this is a section, yes. So in this section, instead of this, we need this. So what it actually does is, whenever this very configuration file is the configuration file for the default website. So whatever we see right here, this welcome to Nginx, it is seen because of this file. So it actually does is, it will just provide the file from var www.html. So if you just quickly see what is actually inside var www.html, yeah, this is the exact same thing that we see here. So Nginx is asking us to provide the root folder this, and which effectively spits out this HTML, when we access this website. So in order to make our program run with 3000, what this does is, whenever any request comes in to Nginx, what it has to do is it has to forward all the requests to the port 80, to the port 3000. We already have the 3000 port listening on because we have set up the systemctl service, right? So what this does is, this will redirect all the requests. This will effectively mean that after we set this like this, if we access this page, we will be getting this page. So that's what we are going to do. We will update this file, sudo vim. I'm going to that very section, the location block, right? I'll press I, then I'll put a hash into between in front of that very line, so that it will be a comment. Now all I have to do is I'll have to paste that in, right? There is a little tab in here which I'll remove, right? I don't need this line. Yeah, now it's clean. So I'll just save this, and I have saved this. Right now, what is actually inside that file? Yeah, now it has this, whatever changes that we have made is there. Now we have changed one configuration file for Nginx, and we have to make sure whether we have done that rightly or not. How do we do so is just to run nginx-t. If you get this output, that means whatever we have done is correct, doesn't have any errors. If it hasn't, there'll be something, and you can go and change that accordingly. So we have changed something in the Nginx settings. So next thing, we can restart the Nginx. Sudo systemctl restart Nginx. Right, we have restarted the Nginx. So if we refresh this right here, we get our ExpressJs apps home route. So this is the exact same thing, right? So we have instead of 3000 port, we have port 80 configured to in a way that we will get our website in port 80, right? So that's that, and we have done the second step. Now we have to do the third step, that is to use an AWS service called Route 53. And I have a website in my for me. I have a website. Sorry, I'll just log in. Right. So I have my website. Its name is ajish.xyz. I have used Namecheap to buy the domain. In your case, it might be different. So we'll come back to this later. So what we have to do is we have to go to the Route 53 and get started. And yeah, I think we can go to the menu and go for hosted zones. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to host the DNS of the domain in AWS. So I'm going to create a hosted zone. I'm going to provide my domain name xyz, and the description is optional. It's a public hosted zone. Definitely it's a public hosted zone. I'll create the hosted zone. Right. After I have created the hosted zone, it will go to the details of the hosted zone, whether it will be having two records. So it will be having name server records and SOA records. So right now we are going to host the DNS in AWS for this website. So what we have to do is, in order to host the domain, in order to host the name server records in AWS, what we have to do is we have to copy these NS records, and go to our domain provider. In my case, it's Namecheap, and I have gone to the domain details page, and it has this setting called name servers. It in Namecheap's case, it is possible to set the basic Namecheap DNS setup, web hosting DNS or custom DNS. In our case, because we want to host the name servers in AWS, we have to choose this, and we are going to change these values. I'll copy these values and change them, right? It was already having the previously, I tried this in order to prepare for this tutorial. I tried this before, so that's why there are these values. So fourth one I copy, fourth one I paste, all good. I'll update this, right? It made, yeah, and after I update the DNS, it says DNS server may take up to 48 hours. So actually that's kind of long, but that's how it is. For me, it didn't take that much time. So in order to make sure that the DNS entries are updated, we can go to dnschecker.com and we can provide a domain name here, agis.xyz. In your case it might be different. I'll just check whether our name servers are updated right now, right? And what are their values right now? It has 506. We'll just copy this and switch. No, it's the old values. In your case, if you haven't done this already, it might be something else, because I tried this previously. It is showing some other values. So in order to do the next things, we need the updated name server records in all the cases. Even now it hasn't been updated at the time of speaking. Just a second. Search. Yeah, it's not updated. 506 is nowhere. NS 506 AWS DNS 63. It's not still there. So we're gonna pause the video right now, and I'll come back to the video once all the name servers are propagated, right? And we can start over from there. Yeah, now it's been almost like after 3 hours. We will go back to the dnschecker.org and we will fetch the search again. Yeah, now it says it has updated it looks like it has updated all the records. So we grab a copy of the first NS record and we will just paste that in. Yeah, it looks like it has been propagated almost to all the continents, right? So that means our DNS propagation is complete, and now we can go to the AWS Route 53 and we go to the hosted zone and we go to our website, and we have the default NS and SOA records. So in order to link the domain, in order to get this website, when we access agis.xyz, we need to add an A record. So in name server settings, there'll be DNS settings, there'll be many kind of records. So name servers are the ones that we just discussed, and there is this A record. A record is to access the website. So we have to get the IP address of the server, and we will go to the Route 53 and in the DNS hosted zone, and we will add a record. So we'll hit the create record here. So we don't have to provide a subdomain because all we want to have is agis.xyz. So we'll paste the IP address here of the server, and we'll just leave the default values just like that, and we'll hit create record. So that now this very row means when we access the Agis website, agis.xyz, by the way, xyz is is a real TLD. If you don't know, there have been many TLDs lately, so like shop and online. So yeah, XYZ is also a valid TLD like .com, right? So this essentially says that because Namecheap has, in my case Namecheap, the DNS records, I mean name servers are pointed to custom DNS. It is the Amazon's DNS servers. It will be pointing to this hosted zone, and when we hit the domain agis.xyz, it will be routing the request to this IP. So we already have the this server will be listening to these requests, and it will be returning the hello world. I mean that means our project. So this is how the linking will be, and let's go ahead and try that out. So we'll have agis.xyz. Yeah, that just worked. So this is how it worked. So we have what we have now. So we have this also now working. Now install the SSL certificate using LetsEncrypt and set up the HTTPS protocol. So to install the SSL certificate, I mean LetsEncrypt. LetsEncrypt is obviously it's a you can search for it. LetsEncrypt. It's a free, automated, and open source certified authority which will provide TLS certificate for free. So in order to do this, set this up, all we have to do is run this command in the server, right? And we will hit enter. Right, and we'll provide Y. Yes, it will be installing the command tool for LetsEncrypt. It's a command line tool in order to which is used to generate the SSL certificates. It has a dependency of Python. So we have done this for Nginx. For Apache this will be different, and now we can use the command line tool called certbot to generate the SSL certificate, which will be using Nginx for the domain agis.xyz. So let's copy this and run this. Yeah, I'll just provide my email address. Yes. Obtaining new certificate. Yeah, this will be validating the DNS settings and all of these things. It is asking whether we want to redirect. I'm just going to provide one, but this in the future versions it will be always redirecting, so that's okay. So congratulations, you have successfully enabled HTTPS agis.xyz. We open it. Here we have it's showing the same hello world, and we have a green icon, right? No, it's not really green, but it says connection is secure, certificate is valid. We click on it. It says it's going to expire on after a few months, and trust, and details, everything is fine. So that means we have enabled the SSL certificate also using LetsEncrypt. So with this, this tutorial is concluded. So for other languages such as PHP and .NET Core, this will be more or less the same. So I'll be doing a video on that as well. So please stay tuned.